So what we're going to do now is we're going to get you to, in your pairs, have you got your papers there? All right, so grab your papers and quickly what we're going to do is find 4 of them because we're going to work on these 4 together. So the 4 we're going to work on are Frida Zhang,
Yes.
Rufus Leaking,
We've already gone through Frida Zhang.
Frida Zhang, Rufus Leaking, Nebulizer, and Ruby Roundhouse. So quickly pull those 4 out.
What were they, sorry?
Frida Zhang, Rufus Leaking, Nebulizer, and Ruby Roundhouse. So just find those 4 and then I'll explain what we're going to do with them.
The reason we have these 4 is the person who's gone through phase 2 has filtered through. Some of them are too far away or they're already Christians. These 4 are nearby and they need, they're good. So that's why we've filtered and they're the ones that have come through.
That's right. These are 4 that have made it through the filters and we're connecting with them. So has everyone got those 4 ready?
The finalists.
The finalists. The grand finals. All right. Which one are you missing, Judith? Oh. So we've got Frida Zhang,
Ruby Roundhouse,
Rufus Leaking,
Rufus Leaking, that's the one.
Nebulizer,
Rufus Leaking.
and Ruby Roundhouse.
Yeah, I can find Rufus Leaking. I can find Rufus Leaking.
All right. So what we're going to do with these ones now, if everyone just listens up just for one more minute and then you can go nuts in your groups, is we're going to, with these 4, pretend now that they've made it through to phase 3. So Frida Zhang is a 22-year-old female student. So we're going to say that she has been teamed up with Chloe. All right? So Chloe is her buddy. All right? Everyone remember that? Rufus Leaking, who's the 22-year-old male, so young guy. We're going to say he's been buddied up with Josh because Josh did such a good job of hating Christians. Now he's a buddy. Nebulizer, who's a 55-year-old male truck driver, has been teamed up with Phil. All right. And Ruby Roundhouse, the 59-year-old female receptionist, has been teamed up with Sandy. Okay. Now, what you have to do in your pairs is have a look at each of those 4, and you can write down some notes for this. You have to pretend you're the buddy, so the person who it was, and you have to say, what do you think is their next step? So for this person, what would you, if you were Sandy or Phil or Josh or Chloe, what next step would you give them? So number 1 is what's their next step? Number 2 is then what could that person do to help bring them into community? So for me, it was playing golf with my mate or catching up with them for coffee. What could they do to try and bring them into the community? And then number 3, what could you personally do as yourself to help out to bring them into community? So for Ruby Roundhouse, how could I, or how could my pair, how could we help Sandy bringing Ruby into community? What could we do to make this all of us helping together rather than just Sandy working on her own? Does that make sense? Yeah. So number 1, what's their next step? Number 2, how can you bring them into community? And number 3, how could you personally help with that? Yep.
I take it we're not doing the call simulation again?
No, this is phase 3 now. So these guys have made it through phase 2.
Phase 3 call.
No,
you're not simulating, you're just working that
We're
out.
just thinking about next steps and things like that.
So does that all make sense?
Yeah.
All good with that? All right, so if you want to make your notes, number 1, what's their next step? Number 2, how do they get into, how can you bring them into community? And number 3, what can you do to help? Go for it.
All right, if you want to just wrap up your discussion.
Go through it together.
Go through that together.
If you guys want, we'll just sort of gather around roughly where you are. Oh, thanks, bro. Oh, sorry, Dad. I don't think you're in the video anymore, but that's all right. They're seeing what they need to see. All right, let's just really quickly just go through those 4 together, and you can just really quickly, because we want to finish up in a few minutes, just sort of call out what you thought for each of them. So let's start with Frida Zhang, the 22-year-old female uni student from Scoresby. So question 1, her next step. So this is Chloe's buddy. what did you guys think Chloe might suggest as her next step for Frida?
Small group is ours.
Small group? Yeah, why is that?
So we thought, because of what it said that she's really missing her family, that we thought that having people, she's probably yearning for sort of a community. So having people at the moment, as well as helping with Christ, will help her through the
Yep.
new transition in her life. And it's
Yep.
We said she should meet up for coffee or brunch with Chloe just to get to know her, and also then redirect her to the next steps on the website because she's not really sure about where she's at.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yep.
We said snacks. We said like a care package, something like.
Ah, yeah.
Obviously, like if I've gotten to know her a little bit, then we can sort of understand what's those kind of things that she may or may not like, and then get a little care package together. Help her study snacks.
And
Yeah.
I said to, like I would.
TV snacks,
I
yeah.
would let Chloe yesterday. I said that I would let her know, like, hey, if you want to meet up for coffee, and not just be you two, like I would let her know I'm available if you wanted us three to meet up and some of that. And I would send Chloe like, oh my god, I thought this was a really great message or a really nice photo, and if you want to send it to somebody else, just so that way Chloe, if she has any like questions, I can help her out as well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So there's lots of great points there, and nothing there is wrong, and obviously it's all going to be relational and do with the person. Obviously, a key with Frida is, remember, because she was an A on her response, means that she was basically...
See that.
What's that?
We forgot to look at the numbers.
Ah, that's all right. Well, it's still not wrong, but so an A means that she's saying, I'm still just curious. I'm not actually, I don't quite know what I believe yet. So it's probably a good one where, like you guys said, organise social activities, connect with her on a social level, and point her to things on the website. You know, point her to the page. There's this great page here, Just Curious, the first one on the next steps, that has a whole heap of questions and answers and videos and resources and stuff there about that. And that's a library that's going to be growing and developing over time. So that's probably, you know, a great place to point her, but connect with her, you know, become friends with her. And then, like everyone said, and like our group was talking about, you know, the community come around her. Like Kyra said, let the girls say to Chloe, can we organise a brunch so you can bring Frida and she can get to know people, and see from there.
One of the other things we were talking about too is like creating a culture within our group. So for us in the young adult space, you know, we already have this small group, and in other age brackets, you can do the same with the people that you're connected to. But to have this culture where, like, when we do this process and when we have new people come along in any form, whether it's through this process or whether people just rock up to church, to be able to send out a message to our peers and say, hey,
that's really good. That's great. And that one's obviously being that just curious stage. I mean, it's a bit different because they're not saying, "Oh, I want to follow Jesus." But one thing to remember with this is they're hungry enough that they put their hand up and came out the front at an altar call and then followed us out and gave us their number and let us follow through to this point. So even though they're not quite sure what they believe yet, someone like Frida must be pretty hungry because to have made it to this point. And so in that, I think I wouldn't be afraid to have a next step like, hey, why don't you come to church? Do you know what I mean? And obviously get to know her first and go out for your brunch and avocados and all that stuff. But then, say, hey, why don't you come to church? And be real. Church helps me so much. Chloe can just say to her, this is why I love going to church. This is what it's done for me. And you've already met all these, really lovely, friendly girls who are from church. Why don't you... Well, yeah, sorry. That was my faith speaking. I had no. So don't be afraid to say, hey, why don't you come to church? Or, even be led by the Spirit. It comes at, hey, would you like to actually become a follower of Jesus? Where are you at with that? What are you thinking? What are some of your questions? Don't be afraid to obviously get to know them and build the relationship first, but don't be afraid to, when the time's right, to get to those places. Does that make sense?
Don't be I know one thing, this is speaking from personal experience with me, I've often been really bad at is that if I start trying to invite someone to church and then I become a friend with them, I then become a bit more concerned about keeping my friendship with them alive than and I become, it's more important to make sure I keep going out with them to play basketball than actually just ask them, why don't you come to church? You become a bit ashamed of that. Always make sure that's remember what the goal is above all. That's good, exactly. Don't be ashamed of it, but show wisdom and that's good. All right, let's jump on to the next one, Ruby Roundhouse. That was great thoughts there. Ruby Roundhouse, a 59-year-old female receptionist from Blackburn. Sandy, you're her buddy. What did we think that Sandy might have as Ruby's next step? Leadership group.
No.
Well, to ask, have you read through the things that we gave you in the pack?
Yep.
And, have you got any questions about it? And then direct them to New Beginnings.
Yeah.
As a follow-on from, but seeing if they've actually read through that.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah. So have you read the stuff in the pack? That's really good.
Can I just say, I've got a few copies here, but we've got lots at the church. I suggest don't take them home because they're really good value. That's one of the best little tracks, booklets I've seen. Why Jesus? It's done by the Alpha Group, and it's just got a really good introduction. Why we should be saved. It's very, very well done. It's got some quick little illustrations. But it'd be good for you to read through this, and then encourage them to read it. It's a really good introduction into things of gospel. And it's the old school where they actually hold pages and turn them over.
What do you do with that? That's good. And Judith mentioned the the New Beginnings, the New Adventure. So if you go to Next Steps, it's here under Starting the Journey in the menu, and it's called Your New Adventure. And this is a page all about welcome to your new adventure. It says, basically you've decided to follow Jesus. Beginning a new adventure is exciting, but it can be daunting. So we want to give you some resources to help you start that journey. And this is basically 7 days. Each day there's a little 5-minute message to listen to and another little video you can watch as well. Just a 5-minute message. Just 7 days of really basic stuff like God loves you. God is your Father. God speaks. God hears, about family and what it means to grow. So just 7 little really simple daily things. And that would be a great place for someone like Ruby. So Sandy could say to Ruby, hey, why don't you jump on, show her the page, and then why don't you go through, listen to these each day? Can I text you each day? Can I give you a call and ask you about them?
Just so they don't get confused, as well as the little teaching, we've also connected like a song or something like that as well. So that's why. So the message is there, and then there's a song that sort of just backs that up.
Yes. Yeah.
I also said if there was small groups that were where people were on that age, or if there's hope thing with Sylvie.
Yeah.
When we talked have you heard about this thing we're doing later on? Please see her and stuff like that, and let her know we love her and all this other things as well if she's interested.
Yeah, that's good. So that there is hope, and I think small groups would be a great one, wouldn't it? Because remember, Ruby's a B. What does a B mean? Yeah, she's made a decision to follow Jesus. So that'd be great. Say, hey, why don't you jump into a small group and get into community and start growing? There'll be, as we grow, there'll be small groups specifically for people who have just started following Jesus. But even now, if there's not a group like that yet, just get in a group, make a group. If you're like, oh, there wouldn't be an appropriate group, what's that? Yeah.
70s music and blues.
Caleb wasn't there at that meeting.
No, they weren't there.
I said if you want to play 70 music and have banners,
Oh yeah.
you can start your own
Maybe.
group.
We got it.
We're assuming she doesn't want to go with her brother, because if she's at stage 3.
Yeah, so we're assuming if she's made it just to phase 3 that we're assuming that for this. That's correct.
The other thing we said was even like for us that aren't her age group was just even to say hello and welcoming her if she does come to church.
Yeah.
We
That's
don't
good.
necessarily have to be part of that.
Oh, you say, oh, yeah. Not in my demographics.
Sorry, you're too old. No.
Like when Sandy's serving and stuff like that. Like, she's never just standing there awkwardly by herself. That someone's always engaging.
Yeah, I'm gonna grow.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, I think that's a real strength of the culture we can have at Breakthrough is that family. And I like one of you guys has said, if Sandy's serving, like never let someone sit or stand by themselves. And we don't. It was so awesome. I saw last Sunday. It's always great when I'm on stage because I see everything. And a new guy came in, and I saw Josh, who was sitting like over one side of the auditorium, like went out and went around the back and went and sat next to him and moved to literally the other corner because he was so aware. He noticed, oh, there's someone new. I can go out of my way to go sit with him. So I was like on stage, like I was gonna say it into the microphone. Good stuff, Josh. We saw that, but I didn't think that would be appropriate. But that's awesome. That's stuff that we can do as community. That it's not our buddy. It might not even be our demographic, but it's like I'm just gonna jump in and make you feel welcome. That's really good. Cool. Let's jump through the other two quickly. So we've got Rufus leaking. He's a C. So what does a C mean?
Wait, we've lost our Rufus.
They're
Coming back to Jesus, exactly. And he's a 22-year-old professional basketballer. Kyra suggested his next step could be to connect him with Frida because they're both 22 and lonely. So.
Ask us to sit at a basketball game with all of the guys and watch you all lose.
Well, you're assuming. Yeah. Let's play any sport but basketball.
Me and Josh were saying for next step.
Yep.
So probably one would obviously be small group.
Yeah, that's a good
Small
one.
group's obviously great. And from what we're reading in the card, the other one was actually baptism. We said like the fact that it said he's been a Christian most of his life. He's obviously been a Christian for most of his he has a Christian upbringing.
He's been watching YouTube clips.
Yeah, his friends been sending preaching
So
clips.
he seems to have some sort of foundation.
Yeah. So baptism can be a really good way to say, okay, you come and said you want to come and choose Jesus. Here's
Yep.
where you can come and choose Jesus.
That's a couple of really good steps for someone who's in that place. He's chosen Jesus again. Be like, one, you get baptized and really do it for real, and get into a small group because a small group gives accountability, doesn't it? It's harder to slide away when you're part of a small group. Yeah, that's good. What other thoughts did anyone have for Rufus?
Get him to connect me with
I think there were some great next steps. What about the community stuff? Or like we said, doing sporting events or anything, the stuff we've talked about. Just embrace him and include him in community and.
Pray for him.
What's that?
Pray for him.
Pray for him. That's good. Yeah. Well, let's jump to the last one. Nebulizer. This is Phil's buddy, 55-year-old male truck driver from Kilsyth. He was a B, so he's made a decision to follow Jesus. What did you got, Phil? What do you reckon would be his next step?
Told him to follow his wife to her church.
Go with his wife.
We didn't want to break up the marriage.
No, but we could get a new person at church. That's what.
Get two of them play our cards right. I like your thinking.
So it says he came with his wife, Trixie.
Yeah. The fact that it's come through here probably means that there's some sort of blockage or
Something, yeah,
reason
that's
why. That would be obviously the first choice. But if that hasn't happened, there's a possibility that she might be just she started going to church. But what that means, we don't know. So.
Yeah, well, we had the back to the website and all the resources on there and the New Start sort of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, coffees and things with him, sort of, meeting, inviting him along to church, getting him there, introducing to a bunch of sort of people around.
All of this come to stage 3.
Exactly. So it's all going to be, it's all quite similar. There's a lot, there's a lot of trends. We've got the next step, so find their step, and then just involvement in community. And I think that the key take homes is that don't, for nebulizer, don't just leave it to Phil to involve in a community. Do it together. For especially because mainly the young adults here tonight. For the young ones, don't just say, well, that's Josh's buddy. Say, all right, Josh, you're following up a buddy. How can we help you? How can we get amongst it? Can we have a hike next Saturday so that we can involve him? Or go out for dinner next Saturday night? Or what can we do to help bring them into community and show that we've got your back and empower you to be able to then have the conversation with him and say, hey, have you thought about getting baptized? Or what do you think about following Jesus? Yeah.
I was thinking because we said because he came with his wife to the dressing thing, and so like when we see him, if we knew that his wife had come or she's like visiting right there with him, or whenever we see him, like we ask about his wife, how's she doing?
Mm.
And also if his wife comes to church with him, we can make sure that she's introduced to like Miss Christine and to a lot of like other moms and wives and stuff like that, and make sure that she's taken care of because like sometimes partners would feel like they're
Yeah.
It could almost be a case of like, okay, and this is a made up person, so the fact that she's going to church, but their church is, she closed down, it hasn't been in 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's, so this might be a case where we don't, even though she didn't come forward, we might say, Phil and Ange, can you both work with Neb and his wife? Do you know what I mean?
Now he's just Neb.
We can call Nanulizer or
Mr. Eliza.
That's one of the things I was going to suggest is like even something like, okay, he's just come and made a commitment, that's amazing, but obviously that commitment can then slide in 2 weeks once the fund and stuff. His wife's been a Tessie Deployment's partner for 2 years, trying to also get her connected in the church through a small group, and as you said, get her connected in the next steps, like process and get her helping him through that sort of thing, because he's obviously been a Christian for a bit longer.
That's good.
More.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I say that for phase 2, we just, right when they answer the phone, we just start screaming at them in tongues.
That's probably much more effective. Throw all this way.
But can I just say that there's no mention on here as to their financial worth, so whether we should
Oh.
What can you contribute to bring?
These
What do you bring in?
these questions here are why I'm in charge of these, okay?
only. They're probably been in the pile now.
What's that? We only need basic information.
Just want one of them, we want all of them.
Name, number, A, B, C, D, and your annual income. The bracket. No. I think that's good. Do you think that's good? And I feel like a take home for all of us is, like, obviously Kyra will be coordinating this process, and so you'll call it Oh Great Master from now on.
From now on, you will see me with like some sort of hard hat and a clipboard.
And maybe a whip. So look at
Cattle prod.
cattle prod, yeah. Taser. And so I would be great for all of us to be able to put our put our hands up. So if she comes to us, all of us will not be doing phase 2, and all of us will not be doing phase 3. All of us won't be doing phase 1 or whatever. But it would be great to have that if she comes and taps you on the shoulder and says, hey, would you be able to do some of these in phase 2 or phase 3 or whatever? It would be great to be able to do this as community. There's obviously, you don't have to, no one's obliged, but it would be great to be able to do that. And it would be great to really get ready and think about, if I'm going to be in phase 2 or phase 3, what can I do to be ready? Even just familiarising yourself with stuff. It would be great to go through the website, go to this next steps page, and and have a look and read through it all and start to get an idea for how it works. And it's not Phil's beard anymore.
Save his eyes.
So have a look through these and start to really get an understanding of, because if you're going to lead someone through it, it's good to really know what's in there yourself and start to think about that. Have a read through these if you want, or just understand the systems that are there. Just to it's all just to make it easy, clear, and ordered for people to be able to take another step. And
Yeah.
pray for it. Ready?
Next step for everybody here